What up? I don't know if y'all can hear me. It's your boy back again. Back again, man. And I'm gonna talk to y'all today about what is health. This is a legitimate question. What is health? Is health something that we was taught that you only experience when you're unhealthy and you become healthy? Or is health something that is like a continuous type thing? Let me turn this shit down real quick. Because I wasn't taught that health is something that you get to and then that's just where you're at. Health is like a one day at a time type thing for me. Some days you feel healthier than others, so you do things in the present so you can feel a certain way in the future, and that's health. But in actuality, let's think about it for real. Health. Is healthy something that's attainable? Is that something that's measurable based on your current state? A lot of people say that health is living a long life, being happy, not experiencing injuries, you know, having the body function at its best. That's health. But what is it really? Do we know what health is? Do we understand that word that a lot of people are passing around and saying, I'm healthy because of, or I'm unhealthy because of? I don't think we sit back and think about this stuff. I think it's a perception. But I know what's not healthy. I know that waste is not healthy. You know what I'm saying? In all areas, in all aspects, waste is not healthy. Wasting food is not healthy. Wasting water is not healthy. Shit, wasting your breath is not healthy. So waste, period, is unhealthy, period. So why do we allow waste in our life? Is it because healthy is too close to holy? Or is it because you can't have the good without the bad? And see, I think this perception is what a lot of people have when it comes to understanding the true meaning of health. Is there a duality in it? Is there a balance between good and bad? Healthy and unhealthy. Is there a balance? Well, if you ask me, my perspective is this. There's no such thing as health. There's no such thing as unhealth. I think there's such thing as waste and usage. Usage is what we get out of the materials that we utilize to give us that healthy feeling. We use food to give us energy, water to give us hydration, air to give us breath. We use these things in order to achieve that untouchable or unreachable goal that we call healthy. Now, what do we use or what do we not use when we're unhealthy? That's the thing that we understand. Since we see waste as unhealthy and usury or usage as healthy, then how do we recognize that we are unhealthy? Well, when we're wasting, that's when we feel like we're unhealthy. All right, and that applies to everything. Good water is wasted and is replaced with unhealthy water or bad water. And that's what gives us an unhealthy feeling. Now check this out. I talked to somebody the other day. I posted something on their message, and I wrote something about bacteria. And believe it or not, we still think that what we were taught as children and what our parents was taught was logical, healthy advice, but it's not. You got to understand that healthy advice only applies to the individual, not to the masses. What's healthy for me is not going to be healthy for everybody else because I'm an individual. I'm a standalone organism. I don't need anybody else to survive. So what I do to myself to give me that feeling of health is not going to be or might not be beneficial to you. So check this out. Why were we taught that bacteria is bad? Well, for one, bacteria is a living organism. That means it's an animal. That means that it is a standalone organism that if left to its own devices doesn't need any other thing to survive but itself. Why is that bad? Because just like us, it eats, it breathes, it defecates, and it urinates. So that right there gives it a individual type, description as a cognitive living entity. It sounds like I'm trying to explain this stuff in some scientific way, but I'm just going to get to it because I'm really not a scientist. I'm really not a doctor or none of that shit. This is just pure observation that I'm noticing and trying to identify as something that I can't, that I know that we're not supposed to interfere with. The reason why I think that we were taught bacteria back in the day was bad for us is because it's alive and it's an animal. And animals make mess. Animals waste. So animals, when they create waste, it can be hazardous to the environment as well as to the animal itself. If an animal lives in its own waste, it develops illnesses, diseases. You know what I'm saying? So that's unhealthy. So if an animal living in its own waste is unhealthy to itself, meaning that it could perish from the waste it creates from itself, then why were we taught that this is a bad thing? Because anything that creates waste is unhealthy. And the reason why it's a bad thing, if just like that animal can suffer from the creation of its own waste, we can suffer from the creation of its waste as well. So why are we right now today utilizing the waste of a bacteria to make a healthy environment for us? Meaning like for ourselves. The waste of a bacteria is just like the waste of a human. Would you take the waste of a human and utilize it for health benefits? No, you wouldn't, because that's unhealthy. That could make you sick. So why would we use the waste of another animal to utilize this for health benefits for ourselves? You know why? Because I think that we've lost sight of what health is because we never truly knew what health was. when I became old enough to realize that, you had to clean yourself in order to feel healthy, or in order to appear healthy. I got right into it. I understood the concept. I understood that a clean body is a healthy body. So I didn't shy away from taking baths and showers and stuff like that as a kid. You know, for one, there were people that thought that it was weird that a kid would take a bath every day, because a lot of kids didn't take a bath every day when I was young. They would take a bath every other day, or when they started to smell, or when people started to notice that they smell. So a lot of kids would go out, play all day, come back in the house, wash their hands, eat dinner, and if they didn't smell, they were allowed to go to bed and wake up the next day and do the whole thing over again. And see, then this is how we lost track of what actually benefited us and what actually hindered us. Because if you can't recognize that you have, you know, accumulated waste during your activities, then you can't recognize what the waste is doing to you. You can't recognize, like, if you're dirty, you can't recognize what that dirt on your body is doing to you, because you didn't recognize that you accumulated the dirt. So a lot of kids were raised to think that a little dirt ain't nothing wrong with a little dirt. That it's okay to be a little dirty every now and then. That it's okay to live with dirt and waste. But I think that was not just something we learned. I think that was purposely taught to us, because we have sayings like 3-second rule. God made dirt. Dirt don't hurt. Put it in your mouth and it'll work. Stuff like that. These were things that were imprinted on us as children, and we later on grew to display this behavior as adults as well, because if it didn't kill us as a child, what harm is it as an adult? So I looked at that stuff and I realized that life is not short like people think it is. Life is long. And you can either live this life, happy and, problem free, health wise, no serious issues, or you can live it miserable and suffering and in agony with a lot of health issues. And see, to the average person, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's something that happens in life. That's just the way life goes. But in actuality, that's not how life goes. I mean, if you haven't noticed that the elderly population has dwindled, in my lifetime, and I'm pretty sure in yours too, because we're all living at the same time, but the elderly population has dwindled. But the elderly people that do exist have certain practices that other elderly people didn't. For instance, there are elderly people that ritually take a bath every day, regardless of how they feel, regardless of their activities. Every day they commit to cleaning their body. And then there's elderly people that don't. They will go weeks at a time without cleaning themselves, as if they can't tell that they've accumulated, excess, waste. And what I mean by that is because your entire body, in my opinion, creates waste. Sweat is a waste. It's a byproduct of the liquids in your body. That's why it smells after a period of time. The same thing with dander. That's all a waste. So when people are coming up throughout the years and they've established these type of behaviors where they allow themselves to accumulate waste, comfortably, because it has to be some type of comfort that allows you to feel like it's okay not to clean yourself. They've established this, and it's a routine, it's conditioning. And the reason why that is because we have so many things in a 24-hour day to do that cleaning ourselves isn't a priority. The priority is that we get as much things done while there's daylight that we can. And then even also is the night. So these are behaviors that were taught to us as a child. A little dirt don't hurt. The 3-second rule. You know what I'm saying? If it ain't stinking, I ain't clean. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that have been conditioned for us to deal with, and we've allowed ourselves to live like this. But at the end of the day, it's always at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, we got to realize that health is not something that's positively identified. People don't know what health really is, because if they did, then everybody would know about it. So, and I don't think that health is living a long time. I think health is quality over quantity. But when you get quality, you will achieve quality. You know what I'm saying? Quantity will come with quality. So living your best and keeping your body clean is, in my opinion, healthy. Now, why would I talk about this? Well, because there's this idea that's being passed around, and I'm almost 50. So when I learned about this, I was well into my 20s when I started learning about, good bacteria, healthy bacteria. Because before that, as a child, as a teenager, I was taught that bacteria was bad. Just period, point blank. Bacteria is bad. And I was always under the impression that bacteria was something that we were supposed to fight against, that we were supposed to, defend ourselves against, tooth and nail, no matter what, because that was the thing that would cause us to contract these bacteria. And then when I got into my 20s, I started hearing about good bacteria, bad bacteria, bacteria that helps your body, grow, bacteria that helps your body digest, bacteria that helps your body, filter out certain impurities and heavy metals and shit like that. So I started listening to this, and I was like, whoa. I was in conflict. How did we go from bacteria being bad, not particular bacteria being bad, but just bacteria period, which means all bacteria being bad, to now there's good bacteria. There's bacteria that's not harmful to humans. How did we go from that? And see, what we don't realize is, when I was 20 years old, we didn't even have cell phones. When I was 20, we were still using pagers and cell phone and pay phones and house phones and stuff like that. So we were touching a lot of shit that everybody in the public was touching. So everybody was like, bacteria bad. You touching the same pay phone as this person who just sneezed and coughed and has snot coming out of his shit, so you could get sick from that. But nowadays, certain bacteria are not bad for you. They're good for you. They help your body grow. They help you sustain life. And I was confused for a long time. And then one day it came to me. What if bacteria is just like humans? You see what I'm saying? What if bacteria can start off good, then as it ages, can develop certain characteristics, just like humans? You got a child that's innocent, grow up to be a criminal that does things that's not innocent to other people. You know what I'm saying? So what if bacteria does the same thing? What if bacteria starts off innocent, and then as it grows and ages, it becomes detrimental to people that utilize it? You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you get older, there are certain things that when you used to do, you can't do as an adult. You know, your body just can't, deal with it. So what if this is the thing that occurs with bacteria as well? Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm just using common sense. And I know when things get old, they start to, you know, break down. I know that. This is something that I've experienced in my life. When things get old, they tend to break down. Now, bacteria is not any different. We're talking about living organisms that actually live, eat, breathe, shit, and piss. Over time, that organism is going to get old and die. Well, what happened to it? What happens to it when that occurs? Does the bacteria coroner or police or ambulance or fireman come and pick it up, take it away, and dispose of the body? Or does it just sit there and rot and decay and putrefy where it died? Well, believe it or not, ain't no police, no bacteria police or bacteria ambulance or coroner gonna come and pick up this bacteria once it dies inside of your body. Guess what it does? It decays and rots, just like animals do, and just like humans do, if they're not disposed of properly. And guess what? Just like a human body decays and rots and becomes putrid and has a horrible smell, this bacteria does the same thing. You know, there are signs that bacteria, it has died, you know what I'm saying, and has begun the decay process. That's where we get odor from. Odor is an indicator that something has begun to rot. Now, odor in the human body comes in many different forms. You know what I'm saying? It comes in, odor from your breath, odor from your body, like sweat, armpits, in between your legs, your feet, all of that stuff. Now, when this odor begins, at what stage do we think or do we understand that this is the end process of the bacterial lifespan and it begins the decay process? And what should be our motives? What are our actions after that? A lot of people don't understand that getting used to something doesn't make it go away. Just because you don't smell it doesn't mean it's not smelling. You know what I'm saying? So the whole issue is to better be safe than sorry. And I was taught that as a kid. And I developed these different types of conditionings that would prevent me from having to go through this stuff. When I was young, I was told at one time, man, you stink like a grown man. So guess what? Started cleaning myself more often and wearing deodorizers. But that just masked the problem that I had. The problem that I had is that I was exposed to a lot of waste. Not only waste that I was creating, but waste that bacteria was creating. And I didn't realize that in order to get rid of the waste, I had to avoid, creating it or coming in contact with it. That's the whole issue about this stuff. It's not living with the waste or living with the bacteria. It's avoiding it and not having to deal with it. It's the problem that a lot of people are having. They don't know how to avoid it because it's everywhere now. And we're not being taught like we were when we were kids that bacteria is bad. We're being taught today that there's beneficial bacteria, that there's healthy and good bacteria. But think about it. If there was good bacteria, then why would it smell when it dies? It's just like a human. If he dies in the streets and nobody comes and pick him up, he's going to start to rot and smell and decay until there's nothing left to rot and smell and decay. Same thing with bacteria. And there's some of us that have so much bacteria in our body, we don't realize that the majority of it is dead and dying. That the bacteria we have in our body is dead and dying. That's the reason why our breath smells so bad. That's the reason why our feces smell so bad. That's the reason why our sweat smells so bad. And we haven't developed the conditioning and habits to avoid it. So the things that I was taught can't be taught today. People have to teach themselves, because if we're listening to someone else telling us what to do about our bodies that they've done for their body, we're not going to get the proper results. We have to experiment with ourselves, meaning that, hey, if you have an odor and taking a bath once every 2 days is not stopping it, then you need to probably figure out what the proper amount of time frame you should go without taking a bath is going to prevent you from smelling or, creating this waste that's going to stop it. Same thing with your breath, your teeth, and the odors that come from your body through defecation and urination. These are indicators that if they smell foul, meaning that something is dead, something is dying. And I'm not saying it's you, I'm saying the things that you've consumed is dead and dying. And this doesn't have no preference on whether you're a vegan or a vegetarian or a meat eater or a carnivore. It doesn't have anything to do with that, because everything contains bacteria. It has something to do with how much bacteria does your body contain, and how much of that bacteria is alive and dead. And a good way to find out if the majority of it's dead is the odors that it's creating. The stronger the odor, the more of the dead population. The same thing with, consuming this stuff. When food has an odor, that's not because it's, rotten. That's because the things that are on the food, it's dying and decaying. And that goes for plants and everything. So do we eat dying and decaying, products, to survive? No, we don't. We don't eat dying and decaying, because that death and decay is a poison. So the same thing we should be looking at when it comes to when we have an odor coming from our body, whether it be our breath, whether it be the gases we expel, whether it be the smells from the urine that we're pushing out, and whether it be the sweat coming from our skins. If this stuff smells bad, that means that something's dying to create that smell. And 99.9% of the time, it's bacteria. So where did we get the idea that bacteria is healthy? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, there's a religion that taught that the dirt is life, or that the earth creates life. There's a religion. There's always a religion. And see, what we don't understand is that everything, right, that comes from the earth is not healthy. And what I mean by that is every animal that's created on earth is not created for consumption. That includes animals that we eat and animals that eat us. You see, so by learning this, you'll start to recognize that your body will respond to certain things. There can't be a cure-all, a one thing fits all for everybody. At some point, we got to have discernment and the ability to figure out things that are best for us. You can't do that as a follower, as a sheep. You got to be an individual, and you got to care for yourself enough to look into these things and try things that you think will benefit you and create health and wealth for you. You can't do this shit by listening to other people. And the reason why is because not everybody has the same tolerance. What you can do is you can get certain insights and develop certain conditioning practices that will benefit you by watching other people create those for themselves, but you can't do that by following someone else's routine. That's why you should always have a mind for discernment, meaning that if I see somebody drinking a whole gallon of water and they say, I've been drinking like this for years, and I'm strong as a whip. I'm always hydrated. They give you all these benefits. And then you try it and you start to feel bad. That should let you know that that person didn't just start this shit and they told you that they've been doing it for years. It takes a conditioning. It takes a level of understanding that certain things affect certain people in different ways. So you might not want to start off drinking a gallon a day. You might want to start off by drinking eight ounce glasses of water a day, and then work your way up to it until you develop a tolerance. That's the way things should work. But a lot of people have fallen into this fast food revolution to where everything has to affect them today. We think that the 21st century or the 21st century to 2024 has advanced us to a point where anything we think of can profit and benefit us in some kind of way. To a certain extent, it can, but not everything, man. And when it comes to bacteria, I think we need to put that bitch in reverse and back up to see that, hey, man, this shit ain't working the way we want it to work. Now, I left a message in somebody's comments one time, and they wrote me back and told me, you know, that the times have changed. Those old ways of thinking and shit are gone. And to a certain extent, I agree with that. But let me tell you something. There are less old people today than there was when I was a kid. And you can see it too. Right now, the majority of elderly people are people my age, 48, 49, 50. That's considered elderly today. Because all the other elderly people have died off. There's no more practices to pass on because the practitioners are gone. And now it's left up to us, the people that are considered the OGs now and the elderly now, to pass something on to the next generation. And we ain't got shit to pass on because we've been followers our entire life. So what I'm saying is today is that look into that bacteria thing, man. Because I guarantee you, if you look hard enough, you're gonna see something that you might not understand. And that right there is proof that discernment works. Discernment works when you're looking at something and you don't understand it. It just doesn't make sense. Because 20, 30 years ago, they were teaching us that all bacteria, period, is bad for you. Now, today, there's good bacteria. You know what I'm saying? There's bacteria that helps you digest food. And if you look at this shit seriously, you will see that something's wrong. Something's wrong. I know everybody know what streptococcus is, right? Streptococcus is something that makes you sick, gives you disease, you know, decays your teeth, makes your breath bad, you know, destroys your throat. Strep throat. I know everybody heard of that, right? Can destroy your gut. Look into streptococcus and see and try and understand. This is one of the bacteria that they're putting, you know what? Allegedly. Allegedly. This is one of the bacteria they're using in probiotics. Allegedly. So, that being said, I just wanted to give you guys a little word and a question. What is health? What is health? Till next time, you guys, stay safe.